students. It's Mr. Pastel here. I hope you're all doing well in this time of coronavirus. As you can see, I have a protective face mask, which I can control with my eyebrows. We're going to talk about coronavirus a lot in this fourth quarter, but let's start our violence and injury prevention unit. Just full screen this here. Okay, so for this fourth health unit, we're doing violence and injury prevention. We've done nutrition, we've done fitness, we've done stress and emotional health, and this quarter we're doing, again, violence and injury prevention. So when you think of the word injury, how would you define that? You're probably thinking of your own injuries that you've had in the past, or that you currently have. For me, I know that I injured my wrist snowboarding. I've had a lot of injuries playing basketball, volleyball over the years. So how would you define injury? Think about it for 10 seconds. The official definition of the word injury is harm or damage to the body. So have you or someone you know been injured before? And did something lead to that injury, or do you think it just happened? And what are some ways that people get injured? Well, people can get injured if they fall, if they're struck by something, animals, nature can hurt people. But sometimes usually injuries result in everyday activities. Sometimes it's on purpose, sometimes it's not on purpose. Sometimes it's by violence, which leads me to the two types of injuries. Intentional injury is when somebody hurts somebody else on purpose, or when somebody hurts themselves on purpose, which is pretty rare. But most of the time it's unintentional injury, so sports injuries, injuries just out in the world that you don't expect. We do have to look out for unintentional injury because for you guys, for your age, it's actually the leading cause of death. I hate to be morbid here, but the number one thing that all the adults look out for you is safety. So getting to school safely, getting home from school safely, being safe while you're in school. That actually outweighs all the other types of injuries, or basically ways to die combined. But 10% of people your age are injured in non-fatal ways each year, which means that they get injured, but they eventually get better. Last thing I'm going to talk about is risk. Usually when we think of risk, we think of it as always being a bad thing. But a risk is any action that results in the possibility of injury, danger, loss, or failure. So there's different levels to risk. When we think of risk, we think of bad risks, but there are good risks that we have to take every day. Usually, if we succeed when we're taking a good risk, we feel good about it later. Like you might apply to a really difficult high school and get in. That's a risk. Or you might be part of the talent show and take a risk, and it turns out well. You might just trying something new, or something even that can lead to injury. Like let's say you try skateboarding, which is a risk, but to you the risk is worth it. But then there are bad risks, like, I don't know, jumping off a tall object. I know when I was in college, I jumped off a 30-foot bridge, which probably wasn't the safest thing to do, into water. Um, so that was a bad risk. And coronavirus is a risk that a lot of people are adjusting their lives for. Um, you're probably staying inside most of the day. But then adults and teenagers have to decide, when is it worth the risk for me to go outside? Is it worth the risk for me to go outside if I want to play volleyball with my friends? Probably not, because I would probably get too close to them as I play volleyball. Um, but is it worth the risk to go to the grocery store? Yes, because you need to eat. Is it worth the risk to... I could go on and on. But you and your family have to decide, is it worth the risk? When is it worth the risk to go out, and when is it worth the risk to not go out? And that's going to be our life for the next few months, actually. So New York City schools determined that it was not worth the risk for you all to congregate in school. So the earliest I'll see you is April 20th, maybe later than that. Your assignment for health today is on a Google form. So just show me that you understand these concepts about injury and risk by filling out the Google form. Thanks. Stay safe.